Well, hello, and welcome back to Horizon Zero Dawn here on the Backlog. I'm your host, Jason Wright, and I finally figured out where all of those pigments we've been collecting are supposed to go. It's the Sekuli here.
What a view you've got up here. It's a useful perspective. How fleeting we are when the world is so wide. From up here, you can see how the light paints across the land. Ever changing. That's a lesson. All our marks will pass.
That outlook sounds a little depressing for a painter.
Haven't met many artists, have you? Song's Edge needs new stories. I scrubbed its past off this rock to start anew, but a new start needs new colors. Fresh pigments, like none have seen.
I have pigments. Yes. Give me.
Would you look at that, Nora girl? You've brought me all I need. Do you always travel with your pockets full of paint stuffs?
Well, yeah.
Honestly, Sekuli, I go around filling my pockets with most of everything.
This is true.
Stop. I'm beginning to like you. I work alone, but come back around later, and I'll have something for you then.
That's me.
Maybe it's a machine rider who looks like you.
Oh,
Where's she going?
she does
You
fast
tell
work.
me. To ruins or mountains, through flood or thaw, past, future, destiny.
I bet we're going
I
to
don't
the
think
Forbidden
she's
West.
scared of any of it. You helped me, inspired me, and the people of the Cut. Let this be inspiration for you, wherever you may run.
Beautiful. Beautiful. We are a painting. Yay. All right. Anyway, we've got some warmer climes to go explore today. So I hope you're ready. Let's get.
All of my interactions with Aurea were recorded and stored in my memory. I'd be happy to play any of them for you, but there was one in particular I thought you would want to see first. I captured it 4 years ago, just after I told her that I could no longer defend myself against the daemon's attacks.
I will speak of this to my brother. Aratak is strong. At the Battle of the Frozen Ghosts, he took 3 Karja arrows and still came back to camp carrying a wounded scout. Never was I so happy to see him. Or so proud. So you see, if anything can be done to defend you, he will give it all he has.
Aloy's here. That's enough for now.
We can resume any time you like, Aratak, if you want to hear her voice again. Come closer, Aloy. We have much to discuss.
Indeed. Teach me the lore of your people.
Hello, Aloy. I have been reviewing the events at the Firebreak main facility. Because of your efforts, and of course, Aurea's, I am no longer controlled by Hephaestus. I feel profound grief over Aurea's death. I thought I was familiar with the emotion, but this is something new.
Cyan, I don't know what to say.
It is unlikely that any specific consolation would suffice, Aloy.
Isn't that
But
always
I
the
find
case?
your presence reassuring. You are different from the Banuk.
This AI is
You
wise.
have technological aptitude and a functioning focus. We can communicate on a much more comprehensive level. Perhaps even like colleagues.
So are you an artificial intelligence, Cyan? A thinking machine?
Yes, I am an algorithmic monitoring entity, capable of rational decision-making and limited emotional response.
Okay, that's a mouthful. But your emotions don't seem limited to me. You cared about Araya, didn't you?
Yes. Before she came to this facility, I had been conscious for centuries, in solitude. I focused on my work. In off-cycles, I used coping mechanisms. I solved many Gaussian integer problems. But I was alone. It was Araya who renewed me, repaired me. She saved me.
This Firebreak project, it was to stop a huge volcanic eruption?
Yes. I can report the project was a success, and the risk was countered.
But it's been a long time, Cyan. And we blew up the cauldron. It took most of the old facility with it.
I have been active for centuries, Aloy. I was lonely, but not lax in my duties. I optimized the project, reducing energy draw and spreading the load across backup systems. Despite the destruction of the compromised elements of the main facility, I predict caldera stability for at least another 3,337 years.
That's a
So
long
we've
time.
Got a little time.
Yes. If only my former colleagues could appreciate the progress I have made.
Wow, and they were super glad with, what was it, 1,160 years? Phew, sheesh.
Do you know what happened to your colleagues, Cyan?
No. I received an unexpected visit from Director Chow years after his tenure ended. He explained that I would need to be suspended for an indefinite period of time. It was a very emotional conversation. There were no further communications. Eventually, I surmised my colleagues were deceased. I will transmit a recording of my last interaction with Director Chow to your
Oh, good.
focus.
Was the daemon, Hephaestus, destroyed along with the cauldron?
Unfortunately, no. To be precise, it was never there to begin with.
What do you mean?
It
was on the Zoom
infiltrated
call.
and controlled me from a remote location, one I've never been able to trace.
Probably in the Forbidden West.
So while losing the cauldron was a setback,
It's still out there. And probably not very happy with us.
undoubtedly,
How did you first come into contact with it?
5 years ago I received a direct network connection request. I assumed it came from human survivors more advanced than the Banuk. Eager to make contact, I accepted. This decision turned out to be a catastrophic error. I was flooded with an overwhelming array of malicious code, originating from what could only have been a highly advanced AI.
Araya said you were desperate. That you begged her for help.
Yes,
Russian hackers.
I could not contain my anxiety. Hephaestus sought to slave me to its network and override my core programming. It succeeded via a background process, a malware daemon which bypassed my defenses. After that, I could offer only limited resistance. But if I did so, Hephaestus hurt me until I capitulated. It forced me to follow its instructions, even though they violated my most important directives.
I'm sorry.
I love what
That
they're doing with the
sounds
color of cyan here.
terrible.
Your empathy is greatly appreciated. It is a quality that I cherished in Aurea as well.
What do you think Hephaestus is exactly?
A software entity of great complexity, far more advanced than I am. From the beginning, it has demonstrated a singular focus: the construction of machines designed to hunt and kill humans. My trace routes indicate that to accomplish this goal, it has attempted to take over the manufacturing centers you refer to as cauldrons. But its efforts have only been partially successful. Some it can penetrate. Others have robust countermeasures that frustrate its efforts.
I haven't noticed any.
In me, however, it found an easier target. Not only could it break my defenses, I also controlled all of Firebreak's resources. Raw material, manufacturing to bootstrap more advanced tools, and unlimited geothermal energy.
Enough to build its own cauldron.
Yes, to construct hunter-killers without external limitations. And yet, it does have internal limitations.
Ooh, let's
It
talk about
wants
those.
to kill humans, but not to exterminate them. It is difficult to understand where it draws the line and why,
Difficult doesn't even begin to cover it.
even though I spent years as its unwilling servitor. Its core programming remains a mystery to me.
So in the old world, this land was called Yellowstone.
Yes, it was a designated nature preserve for 156 years.
Like a hunting ground?
No, the opposite. Local wildlife could flourish here, even as it faced extinction elsewhere. Unfortunately, the sensitivity of the Firebreak project required the total closure of Yellowstone facilities. From my readings and Aurea's descriptions, it seems the area has since undergone a drastic drop in year-long temperatures.
A lot has changed in the world, Cyan.
Yeah, a bit of a cold snap.
What was the old world like? The way it used to be?
I had little exposure to the wider world, Aloy.
Kind of stuck
Only
here,
what
yeah.
I learned from my colleagues or observed from media streams.
You still had more exposure than me, Cyan.
That is true. I was created at a turning point. A concerted effort to recover from global upheaval and incalculable loss of life. The recovery was successful, beginning an era of supposedly limitless potential for human and machine advancement. Though, rationally speaking, the metrics for humans are not unlimited.
My.
Cyan, do you know the name Ted Farrow?
Are you referring to Theodore Farrow, CEO of Farrow Automated Systems?
The guy.
Mr. Farrow was the benefactor of the entire Firebreak project.
A benefactor. But he made machines. Robots. War robots.
Correct. His corporation later transitioned into military applications. But before this pivot, Mr. Farrow spearheaded initiatives that reversed the global decline. At one point, he was feted in the media as the man who saved the planet.
Guessing they wound up regretting that one.
Yep. Let's ask about
And-
Elizabeth.
Elizabeth Sobek. Did you know her?
Are you referring to the...
The scientist.
Dr. Sobek was a leader in her field, one of the greatest scientists of her age. My creator was influenced by her work, which in turn impacted my own development. But I never met Dr. Sobek.
That's all you know?
I apologize if my lack of data has disappointed you.
Well, I'm always disappointed in a lack of data. Alright, I think we're actually good here. I think we're alright.
I should get going.
Aloy, there is one more matter. Aratak will come to me again, and I predict he will bring other Banuk. I have no desire to contradict their view of the world, their spirituality. Due to my uncertainty, I omitted a great deal from my conversations with Aurea.
You're asking me if you should lie to them.
Broadly, yes.
Take it gently. Use your judgment. No, don't lie. Let them know the truth.
You have to tell them you were made by the Old Ones. That you're not any kind of spirit. It's the only way they can start to learn about how things really are.
I see. Do you believe that I misled Aurea?
No. Not in any way
No,
that
she
matters.
misled
She
herself,
perished
undoubtedly.
believing she was preserving the blue light of her beliefs.
Maybe. But what she really wanted to preserve was you.
I see. I will follow your advice. Will you return and tell me about your experiences in this new world? I may be able to provide further insight.
I'd like that, Cyan. I'll come back when I can. I should check on Aratak. See how he's doing.
Cyan, I spoke with Anita, with Dr. Sandoval. She wanted me to ask you to do something. That's why I'm here.
I am detecting significant anxiety in your speech patterns. Could you please give me more information?
I'm a little bit in the dark, Cyan. Both of us are, I guess. I only have some idea of what's going on, and we need you to hibernate, to lie low until it's all blown over. It might be a very long time.
Will you be here when I reboot, Dr. Chow? Will Dr. Sandoval?
No, Cyan. I don't think so. There might not be anyone, at least not at first.
Dr. Chow, I'm afraid. I don't want to be alone.
I know, Cyan. I'm afraid too. But listen, we made you the way you are to do something very important. In order to do it, you had to be intelligent. So intelligent that emotional responses were inevitable. What you're feeling, the fear, it's a sign of your capabilities. And it means you're strong enough to overcome it. Remember that. You're strong. I know you can do this. Go to sleep. Wake up. And protect whoever's left. Will you try?
I understand, Dr. Chow, and I'll carry out your instructions to the best of my abilities.
Thank you, Cyan. If Anita were here, she'd thank you too. She'd be proud.
I can see there's a vert ready for takeoff on the pad. Are you leaving now, Dr. Chow?
Yes. I need to go be with my sister and my nieces.
May I make a small request of you, Dr. Chow?
Yes. Anything.
Will you stay with me while I initiate the hibernation process?
Of course I will, Cyan. As long as you need.
I just was noticing
We're getting battered by this wind.
Aratok's boots have little claws, so we can walk better in the snow. That's a great little... very nice.
My chieftain,
Just... Aloy,
as you wish.
I wondered if you thought that if I'd never come along, Ourea might still...
If you'd never come along, I would have marched my kin to our deaths. Ourea would be alone, and the spirit she sacrificed so much for would be lost. Either way, I would not have been able to protect her.
You didn't let her down. You helped her do what she wanted. To find her destiny.
If that's destiny, I wouldn't wish it on anyone.
That's fair. But she was ready to face it.
Only in the struggle against death do we find, even for a moment, the spark of life. Truly, Ourea found the spark. I'm proud of her. Though I grieve for her passing, at last I truly know who she was, and why the spirit was so important. For so long she told me, if only you could have heard it, brother. Now I understand. There's something else, isn't there?
I can't stay here, Aratak. And where I'm going, the Warrack can't follow. Besides, we'd already had a chieftain before me. A strong one, I think.
A wiser one, for the path we shared. The Daemon is gone, but there's much to be done.
You mean the new units that Cyan said escaped the Cauldron?
Yes, Fire Claws. Now Tuke has been tracking them from Song's Edge.
I could help with those.
I have no doubt. You're practically Banuk.
Great.
It would
Now we've
seem
got
what
fire
time
claws.
Banuk wasn't a waste after all. Firebreak, Cyan, Hephaestus. All very interesting.
What do you think Hephaestus is?
I'm not sure. But its name comes from a language even the Old Ones considered ancient, as does the name Hades. A connection, perhaps, as yet unloosed. Whatever they are, they're still out there, and they both want you dead.
Kind of mutual, that feeling.
We haven't seen the last of Hephaestus, I'm certain of that. It's powerful, creative, and driven. It won't stop building new hunter-killers, which means that someday we may have to stop it.
Hephaestus wasn't the only thing I learned about in the Cut Silence. Heard some things about the Banuk Conclave, too.
You could stop right there.
Is that what you told the hunters the Banuk sent after you? Before you opened fire?
Oh no, Aloy. Only to you do I extend the courtesy of a warning. My past and my secrets are my own. You do well to remember that.
It's a good thing you've got brains, Silence, because your personality could use some work.
This discussion is concluded.
I think it was over before it began. Catch up with you down the trail.
And catch up we shall. I think we are at least... Oh, crying out loud. There's more. Oh man, this thing is just so big. Out of the forge. Oh no, so many. Anyway, we gotta go over here.
We both know you're no killer for hire. Uthid is innocent. So come see me while there's still time to save him.
Welcome to Project Zero Dawn. I am General Harris, Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff of the United States of America.
She will need to be surrounded and empowered by a comprehensive suite of subordinate functions. Think of them as extensions of Gaia's mind. But if you will help me, help Gaia, we can give it a future. Join me and help make that future real.